Good morning. Today is July 19th, 2019. I'm Joe Reingold, and I'm interviewing Chip Rosenson. Good morning, Chip.
Boker Tov, good
Boker
morning.
Tov. Tell us about your family, your parents and grandparents, what you know about them, where they were born and where they grew up.
My grandparents, my father's father was from the town of Vitebsk in Russia. And he journeyed to America around the turn of the 20th century. And he came to New Orleans, and with his father was the founder and the first president of Beth Israel Synagogue in New Orleans, the largest Orthodox congregation there. My father's mother came from Lithuania, and their family stopped in Ireland on the way and then settled in Atlanta, Georgia. And my grandfather helped find her, we helped find someone look for a wife for my father. But my father took him a long while to get married. He finally got married to my mother at about age 35 or so.
Where did they meet?
They met in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans. My mother's father his family was from Prussia, and they moved here around in the 1860s. They moved to a small town called Natchitoches, which is also the oldest town oldest permanent town in the Louisiana Purchase territory. They established a retail store there, and it's still operating. It's the longest continually operating retail store in the country.
What's the name of it?
It's called Cafe Frederick's Retail Hardware, whatever. And so my mother's mother came from St. Louis, and one of her cousins was Joshua Roth Liebman, who was the rabbi of Temple of Israel in Boston, and wrote the book Peace of Mind, a very famous book at the time. He was ahead of his time in reconciling religion and psychology, so I'm very proud to have that in my background. My grandparents, my mother's parents, lived in Shreveport, and then my mother moved to New Orleans to go to Newcomb, which is now part of Tulane. And my father went to school at Loyola in New Orleans. He got accepted to Harvard for undergraduate, but without a scholarship. He needed a scholarship. But he got a scholarship at Loyola, and then he spent some time at the University of Michigan, and then at LSU he got a master's in English. I read his thesis recently, master's thesis on the courtesan of Elizabethan drama. Anyway, I was impressed by it, very impressed by it. And so he became a lawyer and working in the field of Louisiana real estate transactions. Louisiana law is different from other states because it goes by the civil code or the Napoleonic code as opposed to the common law. And my father also gave a course on, he specialized in Louisiana real estate transactions. He gave a course on that at the Tulane Law School, gratis. He gave it gratis. And he was probably the world's greatest authority on this subject, on Louisiana real estate transactions. So, so I was born on November 28th, 1953, joined by my brother 17 months later, Malcolm David Rosenson. Then joined 15 months after that by my sister, who at the time was called Celia Carolyn Rosenson. And we grew up in New Orleans. At first went to public schools, and then switched over to a private school, perhaps the best private school in the state of Louisiana. I did very well there. I graduated second in my class. I won the award. I won the Dan Anapole Award. I was voted by my fellow students as the most respected and esteemed member of the class. I was happy. That meant a lot to me. And I got accepted to 5 colleges: Harvard, Columbia, Brandeis, Washington University, and the University of Michigan. I got accepted to all 5. And I decided to go to Harvard, and I was up at Harvard for a while, and then I crashed. When I was at Harvard, my Harvard years were kind of a watershed about what came from before to what came afterwards. And I had a mental nervous breakdown. I had trouble with my roommate, and I got help from the walk-in psychology clinic there. They hospitalized me twice, and I ended up withdrawing from Harvard, even though I still made the dean's list for that semester I was there. So I went back to New Orleans, and I tried to recover, but I had 20 electric shock treatments. Was hospitalized at a psychiatric hospital, and I had a lot of medications. It didn't work. In fact, I was getting worse. So my parents sent me instead to Timberlawn Psychiatric Hospital in Dallas, and I came there in 1975. And I spent almost 2 years there as an inpatient, and then two and a half years as in the halfway house, and then about 8 years as an apartment living plan. So after about an unheard of 12 years of progressing through the Timberlawn system, I finally moved out to North Dallas in my own apartment. And I've never looked back. I've never had to return once to all that. That's over, done with. Been there, done that.
Been there, done.
So it's all, so I did pretty well. I wasn't set the world on fire or anything like that, but I was doing pretty well. And but then in the year 2000, my doctor put me on a brand new medication, Zyprexa, which it worked. It was like a miracle drug for me. My mental health leapt forward almost exponentially expanded my life. I became my old mind came back. It's almost like I was a renaissance, almost like a rebirth of how I was before I got ill. I was able to read again. And ever since then, I've been reading like crazy. I read about when I can all day long and into the night when I can. I try to read every spare moment I get. Partly because I enjoy it, but partly because I lost so much time that I want to make up for it. Yeah, and also in the community, I'm known as a very proficient and spiritual Torah reader. I read both the Torah and Triple Emmanuel. For the last 8 years, I've read Triple Emmanuel in the Olin Main Sanctuary in Yom Kippur. So that's a great honor. Also, I'm very active at Irving Kabbalah. This Yom Kippur, as I did last year, I'm going to lead the services there, chant the Torah readings, and give the sermons. But also in the middle of the day, I'm going to take time off to go to Temple Emmanuel. I'm going to read the Torah there, and then return to Irving and finish up the afternoon and Neila services there. Also, I believe in education. I've been enrolled in Melton for the first 2 years, and I've been in Gesher classes now for I guess over 10 years, maybe 10 years, and I enjoy the learning. I have maybe 2 role models in the community. One, Rabbi Frank Joseph, who is a rabbi at Irving Kabbalah and several other places around the state. He's been a role model and a mentor to me for decades. And I have a new mentor. One of my teachers at the Gesher classes, Reed Heller, is a new mentor of mine. Yeah, so what other questions would you like to ask?
Well, are you involved in anything else, either civically or Jewishly in the community besides the synagogues? Is there anything else that you're involved in and that you enjoy?
Here at the Windsor, I live at the Windsor Senior Living Facility for the last 4 years. I serve as a sort of Jewish chaplain for its Jewish residents. I facilitate our Kabbalah Shabbat services late Friday afternoons, and I give a Devar Torah at every service, each service. Also, I led our Passover Seder services, after which I was recognized 1 year as resident of the month. and I was involved in Jewish education and learning. I also taught a young man at the Chai program, somebody who is a slow learner and suffering from mental retardation. I taught him for his bar mitzvah. So as an adult, he was able to read from the Torah scroll and make a bar mitzvah.
Wonderful.
I think it changed his life. It was good. It was just as good for me as well.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that was one of the things you're the most proud of, or can you think of anything?
I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my. I'm very proud of my. The other activities I do as well. I've been involved in Planned Living Assisted Network in North Texas, a program for those who for mental health consumers, those who suffer from mental illness. I was on the board of directors for 4 years, and I won the award for the outstanding participant in 2002. In 2003, I won the Consumer Volunteer of the Year award.
Yeah.
And also I served as president of our Wash Consumer Leadership Board, an elite group of nine planned consumers, planned mental health consumers. We were the cream of the crop. We kind of directed the whole plan program from the client side.
Mm-hmm.
As president then, I won an award as president for distinction in the leadership. I also was the founder, co-founder, and co-editor of our consumer magazine called The Planned Musings, which was a first-rate magazine. I wrote a column in every issue called "Chips Chirps," named after my two pet parakeets. This is they cheer me with their cheerful chirps. I hope they cheer the plant community with mine. And also for the last 12 years, I've been able to address with the Dallas Police Department the crisis intervention training program for prospective police officers, educating them on how to interact with those who are suffering from mental illness and encounters they may have with mental health consumers. And I've also written my autobiography.
Yes, I was going to ask you that. Right.
My journey, I shall not die but live. I tell the story of my journey to wellness, and hopefully other people are finding it valuable. Hopefully, I'm very proud of it, and I'm
Well, just in general, is there anything else you'd like to add to your wonderful story?
Thank you. I think when I took my great leap forward in 2000 as a result of a medication change, I think it's significant that my doctor told me that it would only work if I had a positive attitude. And so I took his advice to heart, and I've been able to achieve really a veritable renaissance, wonders compared to what I was before. And I think it's my renaissance is truly a testimony that positive thinking and treatment work. That if people can afford the new medications. Unfortunately, a lot of patients cannot afford the medications, and so it's too bad that the mental health medications and services in general are lacking. Indeed, the so-called great state of Texas currently ranks 50th in the nation in spending on mental health services. This is truly shameful. Surely we can do better. So hopefully, our friends have advocated before the legislators. Hopefully they'll grant a significant increase in funding so that everybody can benefit, not in society as a whole, just as I've benefited. And so hope to also I want to mention that for about 10 years I had a significant other, Queen Janine Hayes. She was wonderful. She was like a mentor too. She was a real dynamic in the consumer community, and she's passed on now a year ago, unfortunately. But she was an inspiration, and we all loved her. Everybody adored her, and I adored her. I think she loved me as well, and so I'm very thankful for that. I'm very happy that I'm able to have come out the other side. I think I conclude by quoting what I wrote in the Plan of Music, is that we mental health consumers likewise are no strangers to terror. We are veterans of many, many hard-fought battles. Forged in the crucible of mental illness, we become creators, pioneers, and leaders in our own right. It is possible. In the face of excruciating pain and suffering, we voice here our hope, faith, yearning for peace, above all, our love for life. May we, by our example, inspire others to choose life and all it entails. Our spirit is truly testimony to human spirit. We shall not merely survive, we shall prevail. Our best is yet to come. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Chip, for that wonderful interview.
Was it okay?